One Saskatoon entrepreneur who's been here for some time doing some things on the health front, now expanding into the cannabis legislation that's brought about some changes here in Saskatchewan and across Canada is Clay Sparks. I've invited Clay to come and give us some background into what he's done these past few years and his level of interest that's led him to some new challenges coming on board. So Clay, thanks for coming here.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Tell me a little bit about the existing business you have and how that's led to your new business that's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I think it's the ADD in me or something like that. You like to stay creative and do lots of different things. But myself and my business partner, Norman Baltazar, we own Breathe Cycle and Yoga Studio in Saskatoon, which you may have heard of. I don't think I've seen you on the floor practicing yet.
Not yet.
But we'll work on that. We opened a couple of years ago, and we have spin bikes, really cool spin bikes that steer and lean like a real bike, and we have this beautiful space that we've created. It was so much fun to build, and we call it The Garden, and it's just sort of a holistic place that we've created for spin and yoga and meditation and other things like that we actually do in the studio, and it's like a holistic picture of wellness and fitness, if you will, not just pump and iron at the gym that kind of bores most people, if you will. So we've created this great space, and I've been very curious about the cannabis industry for quite a few years, just sort of looking towards legalization ultimately, and how I guess I was wondering always how can I play in this space, right, creatively and participate in this exciting industry and not go to jail. So there's all sorts of unique, I guess, things that have been happening over the last couple of years specifically. And now, of course, we have a date leading up to October 17th is where recreational cannabis will be sold and purchased by anyone in the country 19 or over. So it's a big shift for our society, like a really, really significant one. And it's not all smooth. It's not all going to be perfect. It's not all going to be wonderful. There's going to be some challenges, but we're going to get through it. We're going to be okay. There's been some markets for sure south of us, millions and millions of people who have been living through this sort of stage of this shift in society for the last few years in the states that have gone legal. And there are some challenges, but mostly the overall sort of impact on society has been quite unique and positive, with lots of interesting statistics that I quite enjoy reading about and seeing that we sort of as a species, if you will, of people who have a choice instead of booze or pills or other things, you can look at something a little more holistic. So maybe you're not so drawn to the booze and maybe you won't need the pills.
Tell us, just with regards to that retail lottery process that we've come off the heels of with the government announcing the licenses being awarded through the lottery process. Mm-hmm. What was that like and what did you have to do?
Well, what the provincial government did is they came up with a lottery process where you would buy a ticket in any community that you wanted to of the 32 regions that said, hey, yeah, sure, let's do this. So there's 51 stores in 32 regions. And you could buy a ticket in a big city like in Saskatoon and Regina. It was $6,000 for one ticket. And you could only buy one in each one of these 32 regions. So I believed that I was excited enough about the opportunity, if you will, anywhere in Saskatchewan, that I wanted to be on that list in any one of those communities. So we bought a ticket in every single one of the communities in Saskatchewan. Not a gambler, but had to go for it because I saw a tremendous opportunity in any one of those communities. And so it was $166,500, which seems nuts. But the opportunity and the responsibility that plays out from here is going to be really interesting. And we were lucky enough as a company to win one of those licenses and get on that list of, I've kind of been calling it the founding 51, like the 51 companies and entrepreneurs that get to participate in this very unique time in history, sort of as founders of the industry, if you will, when it comes to the legal space. And so I'm honored to be on that list. And we got a very, very unique community that's going to take a pretty special approach, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, to do right and to do well.
And can we share where that community is
at
the moment?
It is the most northern community on the list of 51. It's La Loche. And my reaction when I sort of first found out that it was Laloche that we won that ticket in, if you will, it was shock. Like I had a goofy, I think I had said something like La Where. Like I know where Laloche is, but I, for some reason, of course, just in my own picture of, I was thinking I was going to get a store in Saskatoon, get a license in Regina, one or both, or whatever it may be. Didn't really think of Laloche, especially just basic, because it's remote, etc., and all that. But as I stated, what an opportunity to participate through the retail, rollout across our country and specifically in our province, as well as online. So with a retail license, anybody 19 or older can order a cannabis and cannabis products online, and we ship it directly in the mail. So it doesn't matter whether I'm in Laloche or Looseland or Waskesiu or anywhere, your order will show up end of the day, the next day, or the day after, depending on where you are and all those kind of things, regardless of where our retail store happens to be located. So I'm really looking forward to getting up there and learning more about the community that we all know is quite beautiful, quite amazing, and has some historical challenges without a doubt.
So there are sensitivities, I guess, going into many communities that I'm glad to hear that you're conscious of that. In terms of the legalization and cannabis becoming legal for recreational purposes, you mentioned different types of products. Are there going to be oils and edibles in addition to tobacco type products?
Well, the only products that are going to be available and legal as of October 17th are flower, which is like dried bud, cannabis product that people think about, and people roll it up and they smoke it and they put it in a pipe and they do all sorts of things. But you can also extract from those oils, and those products are going to be available. So you'll have flour that you can consume that way, or oils like dropper bottles, like tinctures, and you can take and put a tincture under your tongue. There will also be pills, so they'll extract the essence of the flower, encapsulate it, and it's in a pill. People are used to taking pills like all the time. So that's going to be an option. So the oils, the flour, the tinctures, and the capsules, and then they'll have pre-rolls as well, like pre-rolled joints, basically, is what they are for those who choose to consume that way. Edibles are not going to be allowed right out of the gates. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure out the regulations and the controls that need to be in place beyond that within edibles. It's a little bit of a trickier market, but I think it's going to be probably the most sizable market in the entire industry, and it's sort of proof of that in the States. Not everybody wants to roll it up and smoke it, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but not everybody wants to consume it that way because they just simply don't. They don't want to smoke. They'd like to try it some other way. They're not smokers. They don't want to cough. I completely get that. So there are products that exist today, and many more that will evolve over time here, that will be sweet, salty drinks. Any way you think of consuming anything now, it's just an ingredient ultimately. We need to think of it as an ingredient that's going to go into a product, and you can drink it, vape it, smoke it, it can be poured in your coffee. Like, it's an ingredient that will sort of just create more user-friendly, society-friendly, public, ultimately consumption and things like that. Not everybody just, smoking, if you will.
How does that translate into, I guess, I've been coached the last little while that, we should be looking at it no different than we look at alcohol. So you can consume too much alcohol.
Yep.
What happens if you do smoke too much of the cannabis or THC component on the recreational side?
Well, I think anything in the world that we talk about, there is such a thing as too much. Cannabis is no exception from that either. There's such a thing as too much booze, there's such a thing as too much food, there's such a thing as too much sleep, all those types of things. And so I think that the education needs to sort of happen, because we've lived under a prohibitionist ruling, and even our whole society, just how it's all been viewed, for almost 100 years. We've been told that this is bad stuff and we shouldn't be consuming it. And I think that what we need to do is just educate people on what cannabis is and what it isn't. And what we need to be aware of is that there's also cannabis that doesn't get you high. There's cannabis that There's cannabis components in the plant. It's called CBD. There's CBD and THC. CBD is they're both medicinal. They're both beneficial, both very powerful. But THC has an element of psychoactivity to it, so there's a high to it, if you will. So that's really what people are seeking recreationally, just like they're seeking a buzz with 3 beers, or a glass of wine, or a bottle of wine, or whatever somebody so chooses to consume. But I know, because I've done it a little too much booze, and that doesn't feel so good. I've done that a few times. I don't learn sometimes. But I think as we age and all these kind of things, we sort of learn what works in our own bodies, and cannabis is no exception to that. You need to know what you're buying and consuming and have some education around that so you don't overdo it, and that you also connect with the right strain, most importantly. People just think a bag of weed is a bag of weed, and it's just like walking into a pharmacy and saying, well, I'll take that bottle of pills because they all do the same thing. Well, we know they
Not
don't.
always.
They're very different. And so do you want to go up, down, left, right? Do you want to sleep? Do you want to be excited? Do you want, you know what I mean? Do you want to get creative? Do you want to relax? Do you have pain relief? Like, are you, all these reasons and all these symptoms that people look to cannabis for, including just fun and creativity and things like that, you just simply need to know. Those are all important things, but you need to kind of find your right match, if you will. You need to find your right blend or your right strain so that you're consuming something and it's good for you, and you're consuming something and your desired effect happens.
So just close us out with those first-time interested people that are trying to find their way through this. What advice would you give them?
Slow. Take it easy. Don't be drinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like first-timers and newbies to it. Like, there's a lot of people who, you know, they get their liquid courage in them and then they say, here, pass me that. And they get all courageous and they try it. And then they're just like, they had a terrible experience because they've got so much alcohol in their system already. And then it's a terrible experience. So pairing those things, I don't recommend. So try it low and slow, if you will. Also know what you're trying. And probably most importantly, I would start. I usually will recommend that people start taking CBD products. So like a CBD tincture under your tongue to sort of unlock your, what's called your endocannabinoid system, which is a series of receptors in our bodies and our brains that cannabinoids in the plant actually react with. And this is where we get these reactions. So it's kind of neat that this whole system is already designed into our body, and then we have this plant that grows on this beautiful earth that we get to, you know, tweak that cannabinoid system, if you will. So I guess the foundation of what I always, you know, recommend people do is start with CBD products first, and then titrate and dabble in a little bit with THC for pleasure or pain. But there will be guidance on our website and all sorts of things like that, and we're going to be working on education, and we'll be doing training sessions and things like that we will get people in the know so that they can have a safe and enjoyable and a pleasurable experience with cannabis, first time and beyond. So,
Clay, I want to thank you for that. I wish you the best of luck, and all your sensitivities are warmly welcomed. I want to thank you for making some time for us, and certainly not endorsing, but making us aware of what's coming, and we'll take it low and slow, just as you said.
You betcha. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.